Hello, I'm Robert Langford, a longtime member of Wesley United Methodist Church and former president of the United Methodist Men at Wesley. While I would prefer to be in the sanctuary today, I'm not yet comfortable with our progress in fighting the COVID pandemic. So, I greet you in peace from the daffodil capital of Texas, Round Rock. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about Romans 8:28. That's Romans chapter 8, verse 28. A familiar verse to many, I'm sure. The New Living Translation says it this way: "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them." These words can and should be reassuring to Christians. The verse states that if you love God and submit to his purpose for you, he will cause good things to happen for you. Being called according to God's purpose also reminds us what our good actually is and what these good things that happen may be. It is not our comfort or worldly success. It is the furthering of his purpose through us. I will reflect on this as I now share some elements of my personal journey. I'm going to quickly share 3 personal journeys. Each is at a different stage. The first actually has ended. The second is at halftime. And the third is really just beginning. The first journey was my profession. As a child, I didn't have a lot, but I did have a family with a strong tradition of education. I often tell people that between me and my 4 siblings, we have a total of 9 college degrees. Succeeding in K through 12 and then going on to college was an expectation that was set early on in my home. The idea was to earn a degree, which would allow me to pursue a profession and earn a living, enabling me to become a provider for my own family. So I collected 3 degrees along the way and made job choices that created more earning potential. I also developed specific skills that enabled me to succeed on the job. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, the primary issue is that I never really liked any of these positions, any of the jobs. I never was very passionate about the work. Some people get caught up in titles, but I never felt defined by my work. For me, the jobs were a means to an end. In fact, as a child, I recall telling my mother that I would be a businessman and that I would retire at age 35. Well, 3 years ago, I abruptly brought this journey to an end when I retired at 49. I may actually work again, but if I do, it will be more than a job for me. It will be more meaningful. The timing of my departure from the working world was partially driven by my second journey, my family. As I stated earlier, I believe I'm at halftime of my family journey. My father died when I was 2 months old. One of the biggest disappointments in my life is that I never had the opportunity to meet him. He left me with a house full of women, my mother and 4 sisters. This created challenges, but there were also some really good learnings for me. Things like bathroom etiquette and kitchen chores, including cooking and cleaning in the kitchen, were natural for me by the time I left home. Inside our house, chores were delegated independent of gender. Outside the house was a different story. I did most of the yard work. At any rate, I became very comfortable being around women and interacting with women. On the downside, I had no adult role models in my life. I've enjoyed being mentored by the men of Wesley, who probably don't even know the profound effect they've had on me. Now, somewhere in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, the Bible describes unequal yoking as something that we might want to avoid. I knew early on that Patrice was the right woman for me. We had very similar educational backgrounds and goals. We became friends even though we lived in different states. In fact, we only moved to the same state a few months before we married. Equal yoking doesn't mean that you're the same. Patrice and I are different. We have different strengths, different likes and dislikes. However, we both strive to put God first in our home. I do think this is essential to equal yoking. If getting married is a life-changing event, then having a child is a life-altering event. As equally yoked parents that have different strengths, I feel we've done well in what I would call complementary parenting. Many of you know our daughter Quinn. She's a 19-year-old sophomore at MIT in Cambridge, Massachusetts, studying computer science, computation, and cognition. She is a large part of our legacy. I look forward to seeing her excel at whatever she chooses to do in life. I said earlier that I ended my first journey partly due to my family, which is my second journey. Well, when I retired, Quinn was nearing the end of her junior year of high school. I wanted to spend more time with her before she left for college, so this was the right time for me. I feel now that I'm at halftime, and I still need to work at becoming a better husband and father as I move into the second half. My third and final journey should help tremendously with this goal. The third journey, which is really just starting for me, is my walk with God. Perhaps I've been on the walk for a number of years, but I believe I'm still in my infancy when it comes to this journey. Reflecting back on the Romans verse, being called according to God's purpose, I certainly still struggle with this. The ability to know and execute God's purpose day in and day out is not easy, even given that we have the playbook right at our fingertips. Of course, I'm talking about the Bible. I'm pretty sure that I'll never fully complete this journey. I just hope that I get close enough for God to be pleased with my heart and my progress. I'm smart enough to know that I need Patrice, Quinn, my church family, and many others to help me on this journey. There are numerous Bible verses that speak to this walk with God. One of my favorites is 1 John 2:6, which says, "Those who say they live in God should live their lives as Jesus did." Again, easier to say than to do. However, this is my aspiration. In closing, I talked about 3 journeys, all at different stages, all playing a critical part in who I am today. I thank Pastor Chase and the men of Wesley for allowing me to share. I will close by repeating Romans 8:28. And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. Thank you.